I'm grateful for my life. I'm grateful for everything I've been through. I'm grateful for this energy that I continue to receive in all directions, but I'm more grateful for all the things that didn't work out because I always had to fight to make them happen for myself and nobody did it for me. I'm grateful things didn't work out so that I could matter.
Hello and welcome to At the Podium with me, Patrick Huey. At the Podium is a multimedia platform where story by story, we explore the resiliency of the human spirit with people who are using their own personal journeys to leave a positive and transformative imprint on our world today. At the Podium holds a space for meaningful conversation, inspiration, and life. Today, I'm thrilled to share the podium with Kristy Whitford. Kristy has been in the spa, beauty, wellness, fashion, retail, and hotel industry for over 20 years. She has worked for renowned hotels, beauty companies, and with fashion brands and artists with iconic history, such as the Claremont Resort and Spa Elizabeth Arden, Mandarin Oriental, and more recently, the Beverly Hills Hotels and Bungalows. Since 2015, she was responsible for the vision, curation, and design of products and collaborations for the iconic hotel in Beverly Hills, turning the shop into a coveted and highly sought-after fashion and product destination for guests from all over the world. Through her spa expertise, she was also responsible for creating an oasis within the spa and introducing the global menu of services and products that have made the spa a wellness refuge for both locals and guests from everywhere. Since 2015, she was responsible for the vision, curation, and design of products and collaborations for the iconic hotel in Beverly Hills, turning the shop into a coveted and highly sought-after fashion and product destination for guests from all over the world. Kristy enjoys traveling the globe and experiencing cultures through all the senses, and bringing home something to remember each destination by. It is with her love of connecting the human experience that she set out to create a company that celebrates the joy of travel while blending hospitality, good food, fashion, beauty, art, and brands that she loves and trusts and who spread kindness into the world. She creates connections where they didn't exist and shares her discoveries at the hotel club. Kristy, welcome to At the Podium.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. How lovely. I get so whipped away in your aura. So I'm just listening to you talk like I'm being mesmerized and just falling into a trance. I'm so happy to be here, Patrick.
I am so happy that we finally made this work because we had dinner, no, we had brunch in
Mhm.
over in Beverly Hills right around Christmas time. And
Yes.
you were talking about your new business venture that you were launching, which we're going to talk about. And
Yes.
you talked about that you were launching a podcast, which we'll talk about.
Yes.
And I was like, well, you're going to have to come on my podcast. You cannot launch a podcast and not come on this podcast because we've had some great conversations over the years. So I'm
Mhm.
happy you're here. I'm
Thank
happy you're
you.
here.
I'm so honored. I'm really so honored. So when you were telling well, you sent the text and I was like, yeah, I mean, anytime, wherever you go, I will go. You tell me what day, where to be. I'll cancel my plans. Whatever you need, I am there for you.
I
Okay,
love
let's
it.
do this.
I love it. I love it. I wanted to start with a text message that you sent me on May 9th, 2023. So I'm
Okay.
going to read the text
Oh
and then I'm going
my.
to give the context because
Well, good thing I try to keep it good on my text messages.
there were no strange attachments, nothing like that. But what you said was, and it was about 9 in the morning on May 9th, 2023. And what you said to me was, "Good morning, sunshine. So looking forward to seeing you and your amazing energy. How lucky we are to watch you shine. So grateful for your beautiful soul. Big hugs. Have an amazing day. Now,
Aw.
do you remember sending this message or no?
I do.
So the
Yes.
context was we were in Las Vegas at the Mandalay Bay for the International Spa Association conference that
Mhm.
we do every year. And I was standing backstage about to getting ready to go on to open the conference.
Yeah.
And for those of you who are listening, this is a huge conference that's put on every year for the spa industry. And there are about 2,500 people sitting in the audience as
It's
we
a
kick
lot.
off, a lot, as we kick off the conference and expo. And so I'm a little nervous. I'm standing backstage. I'm, trying to focus and I happened to look at my phone and your message popped up. And if you recall, when I walked out onto stage, I actually read this message to
You
be
did. You made me cry. I was like, "Oh, that was just a personal, message because you bring so much beautiful energy to everybody." And I can't imagine what it feels like to get ready like you just described it. So, I just wanted to tell you how much you shine and you make people so happy. And I'm so excited for you and your journey, but in that morning, I was like, I just want him to know. Like, he's doing something so extraordinary, and I hope he feels the love. So I just wanted to send you some love.
I felt it. I really did. And I was like, in a world of so much like division and angst and gnashing of teeth and all that kind of stuff, to get a message like that before you're about to walk into it's a high stress situation. I mean, the iSpot team totally prepares me for all of that,
Mhm.
but it's a high stress, nerve inducing situation. And it helped me in that moment to remember, oh, this is what it's really about. It's about these relationships. And I wonder, I guess my first question for you is, what do you think that it is about the spa industry that inspires that kind of love and support for the people who are in it together every day, making it happen? What do you think that is?
Oh, that's such a good question. And the first thing that comes to mind when you ask me that is energy attracts energy.
Mm,
And when you have the profound gift of receiving positive and enlightening and nurturing and loving energy from someone, that warm energy, for me, it's so important to feel it inside of me, to receive it for one, but then it's even more powerful for me to know that I can share this with this person. I can share, we'll say, in this moment with you because you receive me in the way that I receive you. And the way that the spa industry is and what makes it so beautiful when you get to meet people that want to do the same thing with you alongside you as your peer, you really are there for the same reason. And what we do is we create a safe space for people to come, to have an oasis, to get lost in wherever their lives are outside the doors when they enter. We want them to just let it go and fall off of you. Let us take care of you. And when you meet people that are wanting to create that space for other people, you've met your tribe.
mm,
And that's what I love about this industry is that it aligns people. And what conferences like iSpa do is that you bring people together that are like minded, that are thoughtful, that are kind, that truly want to bring that beautiful, nurturing energy to the world. I mean, I can't tell you how
mm.
many times I have a hard day when I was in operations and I think about why I'm there, the dozens of meetings you can have in a day that sometimes could be emails, but that's another thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But really, those are the moments where I feel like I'm really frazzled and I'll just walk up to the front desk of the spa and I'll just stand there and just enjoy conversation with my team. But I get back to what it is that made me fall in love with this industry. And so when I have those burnout moments or those exhaustive, days, I would stand at the desk and I would do exactly what it is that I saw that made me do what I have been doing for over 20 years now, reminding me that I'm here for a reason. I'm here because everybody needs someone to take care of them unconditionally. That's the
Yeah.
thing.
I think that's kind of the secret sauce of what we do in the spa and wellness
Mhm.
industry is that we create those spaces. And I remember coming back out of COVID, which I know everyone's tired of hearing about COVID, but a very unique thing that happened. Guests would come in and they'd go into the treatment room, and the therapist would come out and they would say, "This guest wept the entire treatment
Mhm.
because they hadn't been touched by another human being in 16, 18 months."
Right.
And we were the first people to lay hands on them, literally lay hands on them. And in
Yeah.
doing that, you confirm, "I see you, you're here, you exist." And that's when I really, at a very sort of like soul spiritual level, really sort of understood what we do in this industry.
Yeah. It's so true. I mean, the conversations that took place during that time where everyone could finally come in and have a treatment, the conversations with therapists were so profound and powerful because each guest that was having I don't want to say a breakdown, it's more like a breakthrough of
Yeah.
understanding, even for themselves. They didn't realize they needed to feel touch. I always think to myself, like, how lucky are we that people trust us in their most vulnerable state? We ask a guest to come into the room, disrobe to your comfort level, but who does that? We don't do that in our day to day. Go to your favorite restaurant 20 times a week. You will never disrobe to your comfort level. It's just not going
Well,
to happen.
please, we're eating. We're eating.
You might not be able to go back, but that's a but truly, when you have someone that trusts you and they feel safe, that in itself is such a gift.
Yeah.
And that does solidify the importance of this industry and the importance of touch and what therapists do. It's so incredibly healing. Ah, isn't it amazing to be cared for?
It really is. And if you think about it, Christy, it's one of the few places we can go to today where no one's going to ask you how many TikTok dances you can do that you've
Mhm.
mastered. No one cares who you voted for president or governor or state dog catcher, whatever. We don't
Yeah.
care about that. We care about the human being who is standing in front of us
Hmm.
who needs care.
Hmm. Sometimes people come for treatment just to talk. There's so many people that are lonely and they don't have someone to talk with. Could you imagine that there are guests that are maybe in their golden age, right? And perhaps all their friends have passed away and they don't have family that comes to visit, or maybe they don't have a connection. But to have a therapist that they connect with on a really beautiful level, they can talk with. Imagine every time they come for treatment, if they can only afford to come once every 4 months. What a gift. What a gift. Yeah, it's really special. I have never regretted the opportunity I was given to be a part of this industry. It's been the most incredible thing in my entire life. It's been the constant in my entire life.
Mm,
Oh, I'm going to get emotional.
yeah. I think we all do who are lucky enough to be in it and to have been able to really build careers in it because there are a lot of people knocking at these doors to get in to be a part of this industry. And the fact that we get to do it and earn a living doing it and really
Mhm.
lead fantastic teams and businesses and interact with some amazing minds. I'm always, I sit on the board of the International Spa Association, which obviously,
Mhm.
that I'm always impressed when I sit around the table with those board members at the level of intellect and intelligence of the people that I'm sitting around this table with. You're dealing with some of the best minds in the world around business and what it takes to really operate a business day to day and deliver that intangible thing, which is human connection, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
One thing that I have struggled with in my
Mhm.
career I am always a bit conflicted about the language around wellness and spa, and that, we're trying to create this kind of experience that's available to, in many ways, make a better place, make a better world that we can live in. Because if we are not if we're reducing cortisol levels and we're not stressed out and we're not, so up against the wall with tension and stress, we can be much more present in our lives and be better people, be better partners, all those things. And then I'm always conflicted about, are these experiences that we're creating, is wellness available for everybody, or is it only for those who can afford it? And if that's the case, what are we doing to make it available to more people?
Mm,
And is that privilege, that access to the kinds of things that we have had access to, the kinds of experiences that we create for people who will pay top dollar for them, is that is wellness a human right for people? Do we all have a right to live in
God,
nutrition rich places and to live in places where we have time and space to meditate and we have nature? Is that only for those who can afford it?
gosh. Yes, that should be for everyone. It should be available for everyone, not just in these, and yes, we have worked in some luxurious properties where the price of a service is extraordinary, and it doesn't make sense. And every time I've had to change the prices, I think, what are we doing? What are we doing? Do you remember when massages were $99? I remember that. And I'm not saying, change your prices or anything like that. I do agree that there needs to be a gap filled on that in between, right? You have your places where you can go get a lovely reflexology treatment and it's like $40, $50, and that's wonderful. And then you have your hotel spas or day spas that have incredible ingredients and amazing menus, and those treatments start average like 225, 250.
Yeah.
Where's the in between? And it shouldn't be just for people that are fortunate to have a little bit more money to spend, or it shouldn't be something where people are saving 6 months to come in and have a treatment. I would be interested to see what it would look like if a spa decided, instead of having such high prices and instead focusing on higher volume in their spas,
Mhm.
and really filling up their treatment rooms with people if they just brought their prices down a little bit so that it can meet what today's working class person is making, and that they can afford wellness. And I feel like it should be available to everyone. And if you're not able to do that, at least afford people the opportunity in your marketing to provide people with an experience that they can afford at home. There's fantastic companies that will do a facial in a box that you can buy. These are alternative options. Um, I think that there's a definite way that we can pivot wellness where it's accessible to everybody. I don't think that we're doing it very well right now, by no means.
There's a lot of overhead involved in creating
Mhm,
spas and these experiences, and so there's a real financial fiduciary responsibility to driving
mhm.
revenues, containing costs, profit. That's the business. But to your point, I wish there was a way how it might change someone's life who has never been able to afford to go to a specific spa somewhere and spend $300 on a 60-minute massage plus the 30% gratuity plus
Right.
the parking plus having lunch. You're talking a $600 day.
Oh, God, we're just so disconnected right now. There has to be an answer. I wish I had it right now. Um, but there isn't an answer to help people spend less than $600 on average, right? Maybe a little bit less, but to be able to have an amazing treatment because when you go to a day spa at a hotel, when you go to a hotel spa, especially, you have to pay for all of those team members, the overhead, like, right? The wages, the cost of living is so high. Transportation is ridiculous. Gas, it is
Eggs.
so hard for people to even survive, for therapists to even survive, right? The
Right.
pay structures need to change. I think that we do have a responsibility to make it better for everyone, where everyone can afford it, especially for people that really do need that wellness. I think maybe we have to do a deep dive.
I think it's definitely an area of focus. It's like, you know, you can't be well if your neighbor's not well, and everyone is your neighbor, you know?
Everyone is your neighbor. I
You know,
know. I know. I
if they
mean,
don't have nutritious food, you know, just 5 miles from my house in LA, if they don't have nutritious food, that impacts all of us.
right.
They If they don't have the access to yoga and what that can do in just terms of centering you and
Mhm.
helping you be present and drop into your life and clear your mind and have space for thoughts, that's the luxury. And how do we give that to more people? Maybe we need to do a study where there's a you know what happens when you start giving yoga to people who are incarcerated. What happens to violence in those centers? What happens to violence in neighborhoods if they have other outlets for that
Yeah.
energy, other places to express?
Yeah, there are studies,
Yeah.
and they've done significantly well. There was a study about transcendental meditation for inner city kids and what it did for them and the quality of life that they had when there was meditation practiced every day at school. And these kids were testing higher. They were not in trouble. They were communicating better. They were having a better quality of life at home because they brought those tools to their families. So we can cultivate it, right? I think wellness, now here's the thing when you want to talk about wellness, I believe wellness should start at a very young age in the education system.
Yeah.
And that is something like, yes, we all had PE, but did PE teach us anything? No, it taught us we did not like to run a mile. Nobody liked to run a mile, okay? I don't care who you were. If you were there, you were walking that mile with your friends, arms linked, going, let's go. Like, yes, I'll walk a 15-minute mile. I am not running. Why is PE in the first period? So, yes, like, why aren't there integrated experiences for kids in wellness in PE? If we already have established a system where kids are going to focus on their physical wellness, why aren't we doing things for their mental wellness? Why
Ooh.
aren't we giving kids tools to search within, right? To meditate. These are the things that we should be giving kids wellness in the education system. I grew up Buddhist, and so I was exposed to meditation at a young age and seeing how Buddhist monks would meditate at the temple. And so it gave me kind of this understanding that to seek peace, you have to seek within yourself. So I would go on these long strolls alone and I would be in nature, talking with nature. I've never told anybody this. This is so wild. But I used to talk to the trees and the flowers and the bushes and all the plants that I loved. And I would talk with them about my day and I would talk about the good. From a young age, I felt like that was my home. Nature was my home. And I found peace in that way. Growing up in a very traumatic home, I found that taking those walks were my peace, my oasis. I think that's also why the spa world made me feel that peace too, because it was the one place where I could be transformed in a moment without anybody talking with me or anything. It was just by touch. So yeah, we could do better. We could teach people, we could give them tools, and we could hope that they use them, but we also have to put them out there. So I think for spas, if you know that your prices are so high, maybe offer something very unique that brings people into your space. Holding meditation if you have a beautiful garden for your locals to come to that costs nothing. Guide people through that. Work with a local yoga studio to come in and provide a class where it doesn't cost your locals anything, but it brings them in because you want to make them a part of the community. Maybe that's where we try and find a way to bridge that gap of wellness.
You were in this industry, you're still in this industry, but you were working in hotels for 20 years or
Yeah.
so.
Hmm.
And then you stepped away.
I did.
And I want to know what led you to that decision to say,
I manifested my departure in speaking with the universe, again, going to nature and telling the universe what I needed and what I wanted, in taking walks on the beach and going through Malibu canyons, like taking these spiritual walks for myself and meditating in them and just saying, if you could provide me this one gift, I would be so grateful because I knew I couldn't leave on my own.
"Hmm,
And it was hard to leave because I love what I do so much. But I knew that my life had greater purpose. And I needed to step away in order to realize if that purpose was going to be met by others because I couldn't do it there. And I had to take a chance. And when I tell you, like, feelings I had when I would think about it, like, even thinking about it right now makes me very nervous because I don't even sweat, but my palms are sweaty. I It took me so much courage to reach that part of my heart to say, "You're gonna be okay, Kristy. You're
hmm,
gonna be okay." I don't have a fallback plan. I don't have parents to rely on. I don't have, like, anything to fall back on. I don't have a family. I don't have anything. I'm by myself, and if this doesn't work out, it's okay. It's okay. I've been alone since I was 17. I've had to work really hard and struggle. I know what it feels like to have $0 in the bank. I know what it feels like to be homeless without anybody knowing you're homeless. I have struggled. And I told myself, you can do hard things. You've done hard things. You've been through hell and back again and back again. The world has given me so much fire to walk through, and I keep showing up on the other side. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to start this company because I deserve to have this company because I work so hard. I make everybody look good. I can't even share the successes I've had because I'm not allowed to. Could you imagine? Like, I'm not allowed to share my successes. I'm not allowed to talk about what I've done that's so good. And I said, "You deserve this. You worked so hard for this. Nobody made my life for me. I woke up every day and I wrote my book and I lived it. So if I wasn't going to do it for myself, the universe had to help me and the universe did. And it was like, hey, girl, here you go." I was like a bird falling out of a nest. I'm like, am I going to fly? Oh no. And I did. I flew and I'm thriving and my company's doing so good. And I started in September. I launched it on my birthday on September 28th because it was my rebirth. That was my gift to myself.
hmm,
It's like, you're going to do this and you're going to do it. And you're going to make it happen. And if it's hard because it's yours, right? It's
wow,
yours. Nobody owns you but you now.
yeah,
That girl that had nothing has grown up into this woman that has gifted herself a new life. And I'm so proud of me. I'm so excited for me. I'm so happy for me. And I'm so scared of me at the same time I'm scared in the good way because damn it, I deserve this. I'm so excited and I wake up excited every day and I'm so grateful that I have had this incredible journey in this industry, in the spa industry, in hospitality, in hotel, and I've made a beautiful community with yourself included. And I get to go on this journey without any judgment, without anyone telling me I can't do this or giving me their personal reasons for why I shouldn't do something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Patrick, I no longer need to be validated. I validate myself,
Mhm.
and that is all I need. With starting my company, where I now help hotels and businesses in hospitality create revenue streams where they didn't exist with retail and with spa, I help spa directors to alleviate some of their pressure of wearing a dozen hats every day to taking some stuff off their plate because, let me do it for you.
Right.
I know what it feels like to be you. So that's what my company does is I'm the extra set of hands you didn't know you could have, but they're right here for you to use. And that's what the hotel club is. It's there to support hotels in all their glory to make them shine. And I'm so excited because the partners I'm working with thus far have been so beautiful and wonderful and excited to work together on what we're creating. And so that makes me so happy. I want to also change this industry. I want to make people feel heard and to utilize the Hotel Club podcast as a place to speak openly and freely so that we can change the industry for the better together. When we launched the episodes on January 18th, I was like, oh, I don't know.
It's scary when you put that first episode out. Yeah.
I mean, is anyone going to listen? I don't know. We'll see. And if there's one person, then great. One person tapped in.
We were having breakfast in Hillsburg, California a couple years ago.
Oh
Do you
my God.
remember? We were sitting and we
Yes.
were overlooking a vineyard, and
Mm-hmm.
you were on this really profound journey. You
Oh
were
my God.
you were on the road in your car driving
Mhm.
across California to go see your father. Do you remember this?
Yes, I was going to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I hadn't seen my father at that point in 11 years. I had this electrifying feeling in my heart, and I kept waking up in the middle of the night, night after night, and I woke up with one regret. And that was if I never went to see my father and ask him this one question. And that one question is what led me on the journey to see him. I packed up my car, my dogs. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just knew I had to go to Coeur d'Alene. And so I call it my road to Coeur d'Alene. And I left LA and I drove up north and I started calling people I knew and posting. And I was like, I'm on this road trip. And, I was in wine country and you connected with me. And I was like, oh my God, you're like, come have breakfast with me. I was like, of course. Wherever you go, I go. I was like, how crazy is it that we were both in the same area at the same time and we both don't even live there?
Right.
This trip was full force universe speaking to me in every single way. Every moment that happened on that trip was soul changing for me. And it was a moment of pain and like anguish and suffering that I had held for so long. And so I left our breakfast and I went to Coeur d'Alene. I checked into this beautiful lake house with my dogs. And I remember parking the car, getting my dogs out, and it was this 72 step. I don't know how to describe it. It was like 72 steps walking down to heaven. And I walked down these 72 steps, and I can't describe the emotional baggage that I felt. It was like I had 72 suitcases sitting on my shoulders when I stood at the top of those stairs, and every single one just like fell off my body because I was on the lake that I used to spend my childhood with my grandparents, and I was there right at sunset. And I walked down just enough, and there was a dock there, and this property was just so perfect for us. And I just felt the energy of my grandparents, and then just telling me, "You're home. Welcome back home," you know? When I was growing up, I'm part Coeur d'Alene Indian, and I would be there in the summers with my grandparents in the winters. And they passed away a long time ago, but I always felt like they were my parents. They protected me, and they're always with me. And they're the reason why I fight and I struggle and I can make it because I feel like they give me this amazing strength. So when I got there and I walked down the steps and into that sunset, oh, the emotion that I felt was like my heart broke, and they were putting it together and giving me strength to see my father
Mhm.
because I never ever thought I was going to see my father again, and my father and I have a very difficult relationship. And I was afraid, the reason I went there was I was afraid that I was never going to see him again and that he was going to die. And I wouldn't be able to ask him this one question that I needed to know because it hurt my soul so badly and I couldn't get past it. As a woman that really wants kids and really wanted to have a family, I had this one thing just sitting inside of me that I needed to get over with my dad before I become a mom one day. And so I just sat there on that dock and just like sat with my grandparents and my energy. And the next morning I woke up, I got ready, I went to see my grandparents' grave because I needed to see them first. I brought them flowers and talked with them for a while and had a full emotional breakdown because I hadn't been there in so long.
Mhm.
And I had to apologize and grieve, but this gust of wind just surged inside of me and said, "All right, it's time. You have to go."
Mhm.
And so I left. I picked up this plant. It's called a peace plant. If you've ever seen it, it's got white flowers, and I wanted to make peace with my father.
Yeah.
But before I knocked on his door, I have to tell you this part because I said to myself in the car, what you ask him, no matter what the answer is, it's not your answer to hold on to. You just need to ask the question. And whatever he says, if it doesn't serve your heart, just let it go. It doesn't belong to you. But as long as you showed up here today, that's what matters the most. Is that you got to ask the question. So I knocked on the door. He opened it and he didn't know who I was.
Oh,
He didn't
possible.
recognize me. And I said, "Hi." And he goes, "Hi, how can I help you?" And I said, I'm Kristy." And he's like, "Who?" And I said, "I'm your daughter." He's like, he looks at me again and he goes, "Oh, oh, what are you doing here?" And I just thought, "Oh, I came to see you." And he's like, well, okay, well, come in." And so it was the most, I mean, if he hears this, he knows this entire experience was so heartbreaking for me from the moment I entered until the moment I left because I didn't ask the question until I was just getting ready to leave. And the answer he gave me it didn't break my heart anymore. It didn't hurt anymore because I asked it and I knew that that answer wasn't mine to hold on to. I don't even know if it was his to give. I just knew that I needed to get there. And that was the last time I saw my dad. And I went back to the house with my dogs. I went back and I just walked the shoreline and spoke to the trees and the water and the lake. And the next day, I gathered my things and I went to see my grandparents one more time in their grave. And I drove back. But when I drove back, I didn't leave those 72 suitcases there. I let those 72 suitcases go. It's like they all opened up and they like became flowers. It became peace and like light. And I started driving away from Coeur d'Alene. I didn't know where I was going. I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm like just letting my energy take me wherever it was. And I ended up in Lincoln City.
Hmm.
Lincoln City is just on the tippy top of California and near the bottom of Oregon. And it's this beach town, this sleepy beach town. Lincoln City is where my grandmother would drive us when we would go on road trips. I don't know how I ended up there. I mean, I know I took the roads and somehow like I zigzag a bunch of ways and I ended up in Lincoln City and I found the hotel that I would stay at with my grandmother. I checked in with my 2 dogs, and we sat on the shore, and we came back up to the room, and I remember taking my notebook out and writing every single thing out so I wouldn't forget it, and I was writing my grandmother's name, and I look out onto the balcony towards the ocean, and there's this wild rainbow just out there on the ocean,
Mm.
and I was like, "You're here. You're here with me." And I just said, "Thank you so much for bringing me here." And I finally made it back. And I left the next morning, but not without having my favorite thing in the world with my grandma, which was clam chowder.
Yes. Yes.
I went and found this cute little restaurant, but I left that place feeling so whole. Like I finally closed the chapter of my life and felt like I was renewed. I'd taken a chance on talking with my father, and it's not that it worked out or that it didn't, it's that it happened. And, we're not given the perfect family I think, for certain reasons. And I think my reason is because I wasn't meant to be sheltered. I was meant to grow outside of myself over and over again for good
Hmm.
and to find a space where I didn't believe that I belonged, but creating space for others to belong to me so that I could take care of them. I'm grateful for my life. I'm grateful for everything I've been through. I'm grateful for this energy that I continue to receive in all directions, but I'm more grateful for all the things that didn't work out because I always had to fight to make them happen for myself and nobody did it for me. I'm grateful things didn't work out so that I could matter.
You matter to me. I can't.
Thank you.
Your friendship is so special and important to me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do
I
you
mean,
think you'll hear from your father ever again, or is that really a closed chapter for you?
after I left, he wrote me emails. He has my email. And, like part of the reason I don't get rid of that email address is just so that I can know he's still alive. And when I don't hear from him for a long duration, it makes me wonder if he is or if he isn't. I hope he knows wherever he's at that I am grateful for him. I'm grateful for the life that I have had with him, and I do love him. I wish him all the best. I have no ill feeling. I just know that our journey ended a long time ago together.
I wonder for you what you think is going to be your legacy. In our careers, we touch so many people and so many lives. And what is your legacy?
You know, I would love if when I'm gone one day, if people think of me and say, she was kind, she cared for others, she gave to others, and hopefully she inspired others to be better versions of themselves. Patrick, you are making me cry on this show. Oh my God. But a lot of people have died in the last several years, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid of death, but I hope that my legacy is that I did a little bit of good to change the world for the better. That would be beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah, that would be really nice.
Kristy, thank
Yeah.
you so much for your time today. I It's an honor
Thank you.
to have you here and hear your story.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. And I absolutely adore you. You're doing so many wonderful things. And this is just another piece of your heart that you're sharing with everyone. So thank you for allowing me to be on this journey with you.
Thank you. Thank you for
Love
coming.
you.
Thank you for coming on it. I love you too. To those of you who are watching or listening, remember, we all have a voice. We all will leave a legacy. We should all not be afraid to take that road trip to Coeur d'Alene and drop the baggage, let it lie.
Yeah.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Be wise. Thank you.